Bardling's Banter. My name is Matthew, and I make guides for Dungeons & Dragons. Today on What the Feat, we will actually be going over two different feats, Grappler and Tavern Brawler. More so, though, we will be going over the mechanics for unarmed fighting, as well as the shoving mechanics and, of course, grappling mechanics. We will be explaining why it's a fighting style and attack option that needs to be considered more by both players and DMs. To make an unarmed strike takes one attack action. You use your strength modifier to make these attacks, and you of course are considered proficient with that weapon. That weapon in this case being your fists. However, if you do hit, you only do 1 plus your strength modifier in damage, which of course is not a lot. There's a few exceptions to this. The feats that I am going over today, that's part of that, as well as the monk class. But of course, 1 plus your strength modifier usually. As I said, it's not a lot of damage, so why do we need to consider this playstyle valid? Well, first of all, doing less damage can sometimes be a good thing if you're a DM. If you're one of those crazy DMs who starts your players off at level 1, this could be a really good way of not killing your fledgling players. So, if you've got a bunch of goblins with, +1 strength, they're only dealing 2 damage on a hit. Where this playstyle really shines, though, is in the use of the shove and grapple mechanics. Yes, technically you can grapple and shove an opponent while you are armed, but being a pugilist takes some of these mechanics to the next level. When you factor in certain class abilities, fighting styles, and feats, like the ones we're going over today. Make no mistake, though, playing a character who fights with their hands is feat heavy and technical, but if you can master it, it can be very effective. Yes, I realize there's a class for this, the monk class, but that's not really the character we're kind of talking about right now. Think less Van Damme, more Slab of Ham. Less Jet Li, more Booker T. Less Jackie Chan, more Vince McMahon. Basically what we're making is a wrestler here, guys, not a kung fu master. Now, under normal conditions, grappling your opponent takes 1 action and is done by taking the attack action while having at least 1 hand free. You can only grapple a creature so long as they are less than 2 sizes bigger than you. When you grapple someone, you make an athletics check contested against your opponent's athletic or acrobatics check, whichever they decide to use. On a success, your opponent is now grappled. Being grappled means your speed is now 0 and cannot be changed by bonuses. You are held in place, effectively. Additionally, a grappled creature can be dragged by the person grappling them. When they do this, they can only move half their movement speed. That is unless the victim of their grapple is 2 sizes smaller than them. They can be moved at whatever the grappler's normal speed is. Lastly, there is no check to move someone who is grappled. It simply happens. If you find yourself grappled, there are a couple ways to end or break free of the grapple. A grapple ends if the grappler is incapacitated. For example, if they are reduced to 0 hit points and fall unconscious. The grapple ends if any effect pushes the grappler and the grappled creature apart. Also, the grappled creature can use its action to make an escape attempt. To successfully escape, the grappled creature must succeed on an athletics or acrobatics check, contested by the grappler's athletics check. So a very quick and dirty review of kind of the basics of grappling. To grapple, you take the attack action on your turn and say, I am attempting to grapple my opponent. You are then going to make an athletics check to grapple your opponent. Your opponent is going to choose to make either a athletics or acrobatics check to resist being grappled. If you win, obviously they are now grappled. What that means is their speed is now reduced to 0, and you can drag them around as you wish, per the rules as we've already gone over. A grapple ends if the grappler is incapacitated, knocked out of the fight, if the two parties are pushed away from each other, or if the grappled creature passes their check to escape the grapple. So, on to the grappler feat, which actually has a prerequisite that you have at least 13 in your strength score, which if you're going to be a grappler and a pugilist and a boxer and, kind of a heavy, you're definitely going to have that, or you should. It says you've developed the skills necessary to hold your own in close quarters grappling. You gain the following benefits. You have advantage on attack rolls against a creature you are grappling. I would expand that means also, obviously, creatures that are grappled by you, not just creatures you are attempting to grapple. You can use your action to try to pin a creature grappled by you. To do so, you make another grapple check. If you succeed, you and the creature are both restrained until the grapple ends. Keep in mind, you're the one grappling, so you can choose to end that grapple. A couple of things to note there. It says you make another grapple check, but it says you have to use your action. So if you've already used your action to make that grapple, you need to have the ability to make another action. Not another attack, another action. So extra attack, that's not going to work because that's 2 attacks in 1 action. However, action surge, that will work. Additionally, there's a definition in D&D for being restrained. That is, a restrained creature's speed becomes 0 and can't benefit from any benefits, which is the same as, being grappled. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage. The creature has disadvantage on all dexterity saving throws. So, advantage and disadvantage. This is a great video to go over that. I've touched on it before. Advantage basically says when you roll to hit, you roll 2 d20s and you take the highest. Disadvantage is the same thing, but you take the lowest. So this kind of, if you're really a careful listener to what I just said about the rules of being restrained and the fact that you are both restrained, that means if you're restraining someone in this manner, their allies have advantage on attacks against you. Additionally, what does that mean for if you're, restraining this person and you're punching them while you're restraining them? Well, you have advantage on attacking them, but you also have disadvantage on attacking anyone. So that cancels itself out. So it's just a pure roll, like a regular attack. You don't get advantage or disadvantage when attacking the person you are grappling. However, you get disadvantage on attacking anyone else. And additionally, your opponent, the person you're grappling, does, same thing. They roll with disadvantage on anyone else and a pure roll against you. I know that can get really confusing. Just kind of try to remember that advantage and disadvantage cancel each other out into making a pure roll. Moving on to the next feat we're looking into is Tavern Brawler. It says that accustomed to the rough and tumble fighting, using whatever weapons happen to be at hand, you gain the following benefits. Increase your strength or constitution score by 1 to a maximum of 20. You are proficient with improvised weapons, i.e. a chair. Your unarmed strike uses a d4 for damage. Quick note on that, that's going to kind of be superseded by if you take the unarmed fighting style. It makes this a lot better, but we'll get into that when we get into the fighting style. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike or an improvised weapon, on your turn, you can use a bonus action to attempt to grapple that target. This is the key here. This is what we really took this feat for. So, As I said, grappling is such a powerful mechanic if you know how to use it right. When you combine this with your other feat, grappler, it can be very effective in basically taking out enemies from the fight that you do not want getting to, say, your wizard. Kind of the end result of the character we are kind of creating here is a character that doesn't necessarily do a lot of damage, has the ability to take a lot of damage, sure, but doesn't really output. Classic tank, really. But where it shines is actually just removing people from the battlefield. Not by killing them necessarily, but just, grappling them, taking them out of the fight. Lastly, as I stated, I want to go over the unarmed fighting style. Your unarmed strike deals bludgeoning damage equal to 1d6 of plus your strength modifier. If you strike with 2 free hands, the d6 becomes a d8. When you successfully start a grapple, you can deal 1d4 bludgeoning damage to the grappled creature. Until the grapple ends, you can also deal this damage to the creature whenever you hit it with a melee attack. So are the cogs kind of turning in your head. So when you combine this, again, it's all about combining feats, fighting styles, classes even. We're benefiting from, action surge. You should take a fighter. You should take a fighter as your class. Make no mistake, because you, as I said, you benefit from action surge. You benefit from extra attack because you gain that extra d4 while you have, this opponent grappled by you. You have advantage on grappling them in the first place. This can be a very effective player. Again, you might not be hitting, it ain't no fireball, but 1d8 reliably. This is a one-trick pony, but the trick he knows is really effective. So real quickly, for all you min-maxers out there, I would say the most optimal grappler would be a variant human. You get that extra feat. You're going to need 2, the tavern brawler and grappler feat. I would say this really comes into its own as a 5th level fighter with action surge and extra, its first extra attack. Additionally, champion would be a good class because, increased critical hits. But really, I would say the best class for this style of play would be battle master. You get, tactics and tricks using your superiority dice, which is part of the class, to trip your opponent, to disarm your opponent. It helps with grappling. I think one of the techniques is literally grappling strike. The Battle Master is probably the most optimized subclass for this type of build. Again, though, create your character as you see fit. Maybe there's a role-playing aspect that you really enjoy for a certain race. Talk to your DM. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I did spend a couple days off as a kind of mini vacation, with the family. But we're going to be right back to, a video every day. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends if you think, I've earned it. And once again, this is Matthew with Bardling's Banter, wishing you all 1d10 worth of inspiration.